at the outset of his administration, Trump signaled that he might, quote, raise tariffs on Taiwan-produced semiconductors up to 100%. That would have profound impacts across a number of U.S. industries. First, it would have a very significant and very deleterious impact on the business models of companies like Apple and NVIDIA that rely on TSMC for their chip manufacture. But it's going to impact every downstream industry that uses semiconductors. You know, the average car today has 1,500 semiconductors. An electric vehicle has over 3,000 semiconductors. So it's going to impact the auto industry. It'll impact the consumer appliance industry. It will impact medical devices, aerospace. Essentially, semiconductors are a critical input, a critical component for the modern global economy. And if we raise the price of this critical input, then we're going to raise the price of all downstream products that rely on that input. And a consequence of that would be that it would make U.S. manufactured products more expensive, and not only would that harm consumers, it would make our products less competitive when they're sold in other places in the world. So what President Trump's plan would do, if it came to fruition, is really isolate the U.S. economy, disconnect it from global value chains, and that would have very serious and long-term downstream consequences for the American economy and for American consumers. Well, if you were to go ahead with the tariff, the biggest beneficiary would probably be China. Again, we don't know exactly what rates of tariffs Trump might impose. But suppose that he increased them for Taiwanese semiconductors to 100%, but left them at 25% or a lower percentage for Chinese semiconductor manufacturers. That is going to make Chinese manufacturers of semiconductors more competitive vis-a-vis Taiwan. And so that would potentially have the effect of inducing a shift in sales from Taiwan to China. So China would benefit. And in fact, any country who manufactures semiconductors that didn't see their tariffs increase to as high a level would benefit. So in theory, it could benefit Korea or Japan as well. Of course, Trump is proposing tariffs here, and he likes tariffs in general because he thinks that they will induce a shift of manufacturing to the United States. Well, you know, that might happen in less technologically complex industries like making an appliance like a microwave oven or a washing machine. But semiconductors are the most complex, sophisticated product human beings make. It takes $30 billion to launch a new fab. It takes at least 5 years to plan it and 3 years to build it. So the notion that Trump's tariffs would induce this stampede of manufacturing from Taiwan or elsewhere to the United States, especially in the semiconductor sector, is completely fanciful. It will not happen, and it will only harm the U.S., harm American consumers, harm the global economy, and help our competitors.
Depend on how long the tariffs are in place, but those prices would certainly, to at least extent, be passed on to the U.S. consumer. So the U.S. consumer would be facing higher prices for consumer products, electronics that rely on Taiwanese semiconductors. And the impact on Taiwanese semiconductors would probably be, a decline in sales. And again, over the long term, may incentivize them or force them, depending on how you look upon that, to invest in manufacturing capacity in the United States to avoid the tariffs. Again, what exactly the administration wants beyond the main objective, the stated objective of restoring manufacturing capacity back in the United States. But that could be a possibility given, what the president has imposed, or threatened to impose tariffs on some other trading partners, for example, Canada and Mexico, to get them to stem the migration and flow of fentanyl into the United States across the borders. So there could be some other objectives that the administration is looking for. But again, we have to wait and see.
In the U.S., we want to have more manufacturing done here, of course, because right now the entire world is very dependent on Taiwan, and Taiwan makes great products. Obviously, you want to have some of that manufacturing done in the U.S. as it used to be. There used to be a larger percentage. It's not like it's going to dramatically change because, again, Building semiconductor fabs takes billions and billions of dollars and many, many years. So it does not change overnight. It's not like deciding, oh, I'm going to buy, eggs from a different farmer than I used to buy from. It's a much more complicated story. Obviously the NVIDIA chips for things like AI data centers, the chips that Apple builds for the iPhone, the chips that Intel and AMD and Qualcomm build for smartphones and PCs. All of those things are being built most of them are being built in Taiwan. So it seems a little very short-sighted and confused to me for them to be doing that.